Hi, I'm Patrick Smith, and welcome to today's segment of Gov Conversations with Kim Koster, Senior Director, GovCon Project and Financial Management at Deltek. Today we'll be discussing why you should integrate scope, schedule, and cost to deliver profitable projects and programs.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Leslie.
What exactly is meant by integration of scope, schedule, and cost?
Well, Leslie, project managers are really responsible for three major components to manage their projects, and that's scope, schedule, and cost. So the scope really tells us what we're going to do in the project, so whether we're going to deliver a good or a service to the customer. The next one is schedule. It gives us an idea of when we're going to start the project and when we're going to complete the project, and then the sequencing of the work to finish the project. And then cost, which gives us a monetary value of the project. So it gives us the ability to dollarize and monetize both our materials as well as our labor. So project managers are responsible to deliver the product or service within scope at the design time as well as on cost.
Why is achieving this integration so difficult for the project teams?
Well, a lot of times, Leslie, project teams have some processes, but what we're finding over time is that those processes really aren't complete, and a lot of times project teams don't follow those processes. So a lot of times, a lot of the processes and things that they're doing are very ad hoc and very manual. Next, the systems are disparate. So we're using different scheduling tools possibly within a project, definitely within a program, and portfolios may be using 3 or 4 different schedule tools. You know, the same thing with the silos. A lot of times the stakeholders who are looking at the information and managing that information don't make it available to the people who need the information to manage. Reports. Reports are very difficult to get out. We see a lot of Excel and PowerPoint still being used. Okay, so a lot of that is manual, actually taking information from a system, putting it into Excel or into PowerPoint.
Is integration of these three elements considered a best practice?
Yes, Leslie, it is, and in many industries, it's actually a requirement. So you're actually audited on whether or not you have cost-schedule integration. But let me start off and let's talk a little bit about how you can begin in your company integrating the big three: scope, schedule, and cost. Okay, so first off, let's start out with defining a project architecture. So what I mean by that is really a series of structures. So the work breakdown structure, the organizational breakdown structure, your work package IDs, your statement of work reference IDs, and if you have an integrated master plan, being able to look at those IDs and have those by task so that you include everything that's in the integrated master plan. Now, these structures are loaded both into the cost tool as well as the schedule tool, and they become the basis for integrating both cost and schedule and all the related tasks and resources along with that. So the next thing that we need is a set of tools that easily integrates these two, set of tools that will pass this information back and forth very easily. Now, the fact that the schedule is now coded and all the tasks are coded with statement of work reference IDs and IMP task IDs gives us a very easy way to audit whether or not we have all the scope included in the schedule. Now, from there, the next big step, and it's one of the hardest ones, is resource loading your schedule. So my preference is to resource load at the task level. That means putting all the resources down with exactly what I need to complete that task with start and stop dates. Those resources and those dates then are passed from the schedule back over into the cost management system. So I actually have full cost schedule integration without ever touching or doing any kind of a manual keystroke. So again, the schedule is the apex of all of this activity. Now, what actually occurs is I have a much more accurate performance measurement baseline for which to begin measuring everything that I'm going to do, all my key performance indicators going forward, because I know that all my scope is in my schedule and it's in my estimate. Now, as I go along, I'm going to have execution things that I'm going to be looking at. So, we're going to have tasks that don't finish on time, or we're going to have more or less resources that are needed. So, I want to continue to integrate those new estimates, so my work to go, into the cost management system, as well as those new dates. So not only for the baseline, but I also want all of that for my estimates going forward. And one other quick one is that if we're looking at change management, so we're getting new work, we want to make sure that we have a process to get all of those project architecture structures loaded so that we make sure that we include all of our schedule and all of our work going forward.
What is the value to the project teams that achieve integration of their scope, schedule, and cost?
Well, those project teams are going to actually have much more accurate forecasts. Okay, so they're going to have a much more accurate estimate that they're providing to their customer. It's also going to provide a much more accurate funding profile for the customer. Now, I also mentioned earlier that they have a much more accurate performance measurement baseline. So what actually happens here is that all the key performance indices that we're measuring, and we're measuring from a good start point, so we're not having to explain false variances or try to reconcile information. Now keep in mind, project teams forget this, that the estimates that are made down at that project level actually flow all the way up to the executives. Okay, so they become the basis for revenue, profit, and EBIT, revenue, profit, and cash that the executives really care about. So those are the metrics that are reported to the board of directors or to the stockholders. So that's very important that the executives can trust that information. It also helps executives make really good decisions and confident decisions. Things like, should I bid on project A or should I bid on project B? Should I divest? Should I buy another company? It really gives them an accurate picture and an accurate forecast to make those really hard decisions. So you can see that the value in cost schedule integration is not just at the project level or the program level, but it also affects the portfolio as well as the enterprise at large.